All right, so I want to talk about something that I experienced for a long time, and I've talked to several people who have reported experiencing the same thing, so I thought maybe this is worth doing a video about. Have you at any point in your life ever had the sense that something's off? Yeah, that something's not quite right or wrong with the world. Things aren't quite what they seem. Although I'd had it before, I became more acutely aware of this sense in myself from ages 26 to about 29, when I was giving the religion of my youth, which was Christianity, another shot. I just remember some of the beliefs, especially the ones around humanity being born into sin and needing to be saved or redeemed, seemingly starting to explain what was wrong or what was off. You guys probably know this, but it goes like this. We're all inherently sinful, and so we need to start believing certain things in order to be saved. So there's believers who are saved and there's non-believers who aren't. Though some would argue, it's not a belief, it's a relationship with Christ. But, same difference, because, you're believing that it's Christ that you have a relationship with. So anyways, I bought in and I believed all of that for 3 or 4 years. And not only did my suffering not resolve, it started to get worse. So I left the church and I started looking into non-duality, right? Read Eckhart Tolle, read Anthony DeMello, started doing Byron Katie's work, started questioning my beliefs. And that was good. It was actually even more helpful because spirituality is a little bit looser and freer than religion, right? You're actually questioning and deconstructing and subtracting beliefs versus adding them or taking them on or landing on them. And that brings a lot of relief. However, I still had the sense that something was wrong or something was off. And in spirituality, the narrative goes, well, that's because there's people who are more conscious and more awake, and there's people who are unconscious and asleep, which is actually truer and more accurate than in religion, where you have the sinners and the saved. But here's the question I kept coming back to. Why does that matter so much, right? That people are awake or asleep or sinful or saved. Why is that causing me suffering? And why do I still feel like something's not right or off or wrong? And then I started to remember farther and farther back that I'd always had that sense. It always felt like something was off or wrong. When I was a young kid in my family, through middle school and high school, when I played in bands for a while in my 20s, I couldn't shake the feeling that things weren't what they seemed, or that something wasn't off or wrong. And so right at the end of my 30s, when my friend Scott and I were developing KI's emotional repression work, I finally tried something. I challenged my belief. I said this: nothing's off, nothing's wrong, everything's in its right place. And my body objected to that very strongly in the form of a contraction in my belly. And so since I know that I'm an anger repressor, or someone who's repressed anger, since their childhood, I asked this question next. I'm not angry about that. I'm not angry that something's off or something's wrong. And again, my body disagreed with a contraction, and it said, you bet I'm fucking angry. And so using the tools of KI, I made that buried anger conscious, and then I made the fear of the expression of that buried anger conscious. And lo and behold, after I did that, nothing was wrong. Nothing was off. Everything was as it seemed. What the fuck? Had I been using a belief that something was wrong or off in order to avoid processing the thing inside of me that was wrong or off, which was buried repressed anger? It seemed like it. So I tested it again. I challenged my spiritual beliefs. I said, no one's awake and no one's asleep. Yes, they are, and I'm angry about it. Process the anger. I challenged my old religious beliefs next. I said, no one's a sinner, no one's saved. Yes, they are, and I'm angry that I have to believe that, so I processed that anger. And then I thought, could this work with any and every belief that causes suffering? Since all beliefs are relative, meaning we make them up and then they become true because we believe them, it seemed like it could, and it did. And now that's the work that we offer in KI. And I hope you can see from that how deprogramming or challenging beliefs and resolving emotional repression go hand in hand. Because it's really simple if you think about it. As a kid, we got programmed before we realized it, and we got upset about that before we realized it, but we buried and repressed it. And now those buried and repressed emotions are creating the beliefs that cause us suffering. Like, there's something off, there's something wrong, there's something not right. I'm a Christian, I'm a sinner, I'm saved, I'm awake, I'm asleep. It's all a distraction from what's actually happening, which is that we have repressed emotions from childhood that make it impossible for us to be ourselves. And so when your beliefs or your belief systems or your identities or your philosophies or your worldviews get threatened or challenged, welcome and celebrate it, right? Because it's pointing you to the thing that could get you free. And if you'd like to go through the process of deprogramming and resolving emotional repression with somebody else that can support you, then tap the link in the caption of the bio.